Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with the winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Thursday edition of Today in Sports Betting. And today is UFC Day. We're going to take a look at Saturday night's card. It's a big card, 15 bouts as they get ready to rock and roll over there in Dubai with Fight Island 3. And who better to take a look at it than my regular crew? Of course, my pal and co-host here. Always has some good solid plays on the UFC. Today is no different. He is Scott Reichel. Scott, how are you today?
Doing pretty well. Kind of wish I was in your shoes with Dustin Johnson and missed the cut, but some stuff happens here and there. Mostly been paying attention to golf this morning. I posted my Scott Selections video already up on the channel, so if you want to check that one out, you can do so. Other than that, I also finished an article for Winners and Whiners on the Red Sox-Orioles game tomorrow. So if you want to check that out, you can as well. But looking forward to covering some MMA.
There you go. And, as far as yours truly, we'll be having the Deep 3 up later, late tonight or early tomorrow morning, depending on how you look at it. We'll have that shot and rock and roll for all of our picks on the Friday baseball game. So, but of course, today we're taking a look at the MMA, the UFC, to be exact, and who better to do it. You know him, you love him. He's our NASCAR sniper. He is our UFC sniper as well, from the great state of Mississippi. He is the one and only winning Willy. It's Willy Mormon. How are you, buddy?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on. Not to take away from the UFC card upcoming, but hey, baseball is back.
Damn right. I'm excited. Although it looks like there could be some rain in the area. Scott, what's it looking like up in that northeast corridor there?
Well, I know in the D.C. area, which is the only area that really matters tonight, it's supposed to rain. So we'll see if that game potentially gets postponed or delayed at least, which is kind of a perfect summary of 2020 up to this point, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that sums it up exactly. What do you have playing on that game, Scott?
Oh, you're going to have to check the video to find out.
Oh, there you go. Very good.
See what I did there? See how subtle that was?
I'll give mine away.
Promo.
I went with the Yankees team total over 4.5. So, I like that play. Willie, what do you got tonight?
I like the Yankees run line. It's plus money, which I can get why, but the Nationals are not going to be that good this year.
Yeah, somewhere in the plus 120 range, 124 or something like that.
I got it plus 130.
Yeah, it's all around 130. Can I ask you, what did you get on the 4.5? Was it like plus 115 or something?
I want to say plus 108. I'm not exactly.
Okay, because I know that shopping around, there are a lot of different lines in different places. I know FanDuel had over 4 at like minus 110. So I was kind of curious what that return would be.
Let's see if I can get to it here real quick. And Scott, how's the views on your Scott selections?
So far, so good. Then again, I uploaded it a couple hours ago, so we'll see how that goes. But honestly, it's not really that important to me. I just want the game to actually be played. And the last thing I want to do is have a wager and then have the nice little rain cancellation symbol over the side with the awful acronym PPD, which is one of the worst feelings in baseball.
Yeah. By the way, I got that at plus 105.
Okay.
And I was since we're doing it here, I was just going to take a look and see if I could find
the Dodgers Giants stuff.
But I know it's really close. Everything up in the Northeast is like just right. Like, how far is DC from New York? Couple hours, right?
Yeah, couple hours.
So it should be.
I think from driving, usually around 2.5 to 3 ballpark.
Okay, so it should be relatively close to your forecast.
Somewhat. Then again, in New York, sometimes rains in the city and it's sunny by me, so I can't really assume it's going to be the same. I think the weather here is supposed to be somewhat cloudy. I don't know much about the rain, but DC, I think there's like a 50% chance of precipitation.
It says 60% chance for the evening. So.
All right. Well, it means a 40% chance of clean skies and potential. As long as it doesn't completely pour, they might play in a slight drizzle. So
now it looks like about 6 o'clock. It should be. It looks like the rain's going to start about 5, and then should taper off to scattered, isolated by game time. So maybe we get it in.
That's fine.
Maybe it takes 6 hours. Maybe we end up cutting into the Dodgers and Giants time, which wouldn't really bum me out too much. But so we'll see what happens. All right, so enough about the weather, enough about baseball. you're tuning in today, you're here for one reason only. That is UFC. So let's get right to it, everybody. Starting off on the undercard. And because there's so many fights, we're just going to put them out there. If you guys have a play, I want you to speak up. If you have a lean, let me know. If not, we're going to move on, all right? So we're going to start off with Nathaniel Wood. He is the prospect, by the way, from Great Britain. And making his UFC debut here, looks like, is John Sexy Mexi. All right, there's a leader in the clubhouse.
Is that the new leader in the clubhouse? That's definitely top 5. I don't know if that is the leader.
John the Sexy Mexi Castaneda. And the Sexy Mexi, guys, he is a prohibitive underdog here as Nathaniel Woods minus 530 to take this one. Guys, any interest in you got a play here and maybe Nathaniel Wood by knockout, something like that? I
got a play. Willie, do you have a play?
No, I do not.
All right, so for this fight, I got Wood inside the distance at plus 120 on Fox Bet. It's a bet boost. I'm not really sure what the max is.
Plus what?
It's plus 120.
Okay.
On Wood rounds 1 to 3, so Wood inside the distance. It's on Fox Bet, and the issue you're running with Fox Bet is usually the relatively low limits, which I'm not really sure about. But at the end of the day, Wood's that big of a favorite. He's fighting against a guy on short notice, and Wood was supposed to be a very, very bright prospect before losing to Dodson by knockout in his last fight. Meanwhile, Castaneda has taken this fight on short notice. He's never fought in the UFC before. I think the line speaks for itself. I kind of just assume Wood's going to walk through this guy, kind of like what Shore did roughly a week and a half ago, where he was minus 600 or so and he won by second-round submission. I think Wood's just the better fighter. I don't really like Castaneda in this spot, and I think the line is very telling, as you have not seen much buyback on the underdog here. So for me, I'll take Wood inside the distance at plus 120.
Yeah, I like that. 87% of Wood's bouts have come, or victories have come inside the distance. I think that's a solid play. If you like Wood to get it done here, I think playing inside the distance definitely generates some positive value. So the Sexy Mexi, great nickname, probably going down to a less than sexy defeat. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the welterweight bout here between Ramazan Emeev and Nicholas Stoles. Emeev is, of course, Goretz is his nickname, and Nicholas Stoles is the Green Mask. Guys, any play here?
I'm passing on this one.
Pass?
Yeah, I'm passing as well, but if I was forced to play this one, I'd probably side with Stolze just because of the reach advantage. Oh, well, not reach advantage, of the height advantage. I'm sorry.
Well, if you do like Stoles, you can pick up some value on him. He is plus 320, as Emeev is minus 385. So,
yeah, if I had to lean anywhere, I would lean to Emeev by decision, or roughly minus 125, just because he's gone to decision a lot in his UFC career. In fact, every single fight he's been in has gone to a decision. And he lost his last one against Anthony Rocco Martin, who is the fighter who got hosed potentially against Yidong Sung. So he's a pretty good fighter. No shame in losing that one. But if I had to lean anywhere, I wasn't that attracted. Or sorry, he lost to Neil Magny in his last fight, not Yidong Sung, sorry. But either or, Emeev tends to go to decision a lot, and I just wasn't attracted enough by the minus 125, so I decided to pass on it.
Okay, very good. Next fight on the prelim card is going to be between the ladies. As Beth the Pitbull Correa from Brazil goes up against Pani Banzai Kianzad from the great country of Iran, hotbed of MMA activity over there. Congratulations on her escape from the oppressive regime of Iran. She has a 4-inch reach advantage in this fight over Beth Correa. Of course, Beth Correa is the ranked fighter, while the other girl is not. Sorry, I was looking for the lines here.
Kianzad.
What's that?
Kianzad, I believe.
Kianzad, thank you very much. She is the favorite, actually, is Kianzad with that reach advantage, minus 149. Beth Correa, plus 129, if you wanted to take a swing on the ranked opponent, guys. Willie, you got to play here?
I do, actually. I like the underdog here. She's given up a little bit of size, but I feel like Correa is the better fighter in this fight. So, I'm going to take a stab here with the underdog.
All right. Scotty, you got a feeling on this one?
I'm passing. Correa's been in this organization for so long. She's faced a lot of really tough opponents, and this one's on the relatively easier side. She has lost 4 of her last 7 fights with 1 draw in there. When you lose to Aldani, Holm, Pennington, and Rousey, that's not too shabby for a resume there in terms of losses. But for me, I'm going to pass. I feel like the fact that the relative newcomer is the favorite in this fight is pretty telling to me. So I personally think that the veteran might get I think if I had to lean anywhere, I'd lean to the favored by decision, which is roughly even money. But at the end of the day, I have no interest in this fight, so I'm going to pass.
Yeah, my piece of advice on this one would be pick a fighter that you like, and definitely pair it with going the distance. These 2 fighters.
I was going to say my tip for this fight was to go for a walk and then come back in maybe 25 minutes. But, that's also an option.
Okay, very good. They're not all gems, kids.
Was that too honest, or was that, or was that a little bit too harsh?
I think that's honest. You can't. We're not here. We're not UFC hype guys. Like you see some of these guys do the video. Every fight is a great fight. And that's not who we are.
I've seen Correa fight. She goes to decision a lot. The one funny moment in her career was when she trash talked Holly Holm in the octagon, and then got head kicked to the face. Roughly 5 seconds after and got knocked out. So that's probably the peak of her career on social media, was getting embarrassed by Holly Holm. I never really thought she was that great of a fighter. She's kind of boring. I'm not looking forward to seeing this fight on television.
Well, that sounds hilarious. That sounds like
you can look it up. It's really funny. She's like beating herself on the chest, and then 5 seconds later, she literally gets kicked in the head and gets knocked unconscious. It's really funny.
Okay, very good. All right, so now we're moving on to the first match between the big boys here tonight, as Tanner the Bulldozer Bozier goes up against Rafael Bebezio Pessoa Nunez. No idea.
Sounded good to me.
I know, right? I'm hyping myself up here. A couple of 265 pounders are going at it here. Speaking of pounding, Nunez does have the reach advantage there at 2.5 inches. Who's got a play in this one? Anybody?
I don't, but if I had to lean anywhere, I'd probably lean to Bozer by knockout. Roughly +1. I forgot what that was at. I think +160 something, potentially a little bit higher than that. I don't have the line in front of me, but when I was looking at the fight, Bozer's fought a couple of weeks ago at Fight Island. He had the phenomenal knockout over Lins, so he's already fought in Abu Dhabi. He should be pretty comfortable in the surroundings. Can't really say the same about Pessoa, who has not fought since October of 2019. 1-1 in his UFC career, with his 1 loss coming against an undefeated Cyril Gain. Don't really have much of a thought on this fight, but I do like Bozer, and I think that he has a lot of power. Tends to be a little bit boring at times, but he won by knockout in his last fight. I think he will connect once. I'm not going to play it, but if I had to lean anywhere, I'd probably lean to Bozer because he has more experience in the UFC.
Well, Bozer is a prohibitive favorite here at -260, while Rafael will get you +220 if you wanted to play it that way. And they do think this one is going to go the distance, as the over is juiced to -175. Willie, any action on this one?
I'm actually not going to play it, but I'm leaning the other way on that one. I'm a big fan of Bozier, but I really feel like this fight is a lot more even than odds makers are giving it.
So you think there could be a little value on Pessoa Nunez there?
I do.
All right, very good. And now we got a matchup between a couple of guys that check in around 145 pounds. Nothing exciting as far as the nicknames go. So we're going to go with Movsar Evlev from Russia against Mike Grundy. Oh, I need more Mike Grundys in my life. From the United Kingdom. These guys are squaring off. And
I'm really upset that you didn't come up with a nickname for him, because I was going to call him King Kong Grundy. That's what I was going to call him for this.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that would have been solid. And he does look like him. He is bald. Just looks like a smaller version of King Kong Grundy. Evlev is -200. King Kong is +170 in this one. Scott, got some action here?
I think this fight is actually going to be pretty close, but at the end of the day, I find it really tough to go against the undefeated fighter. I like Evloev by decision, which is available at plus 137 on Fox Bet. This is a pretty interesting fight considering the fact that these two guys are combined 24-1, and they actually fight typically at different weight classes, as Evloev is typically a bantamweight fighter and Grundy is a featherweight guy. But at the end of the day, Grundy's kind of a one-trick pony when it comes to the submission game. I don't think he is that well. I don't think he's well skilled in the stand-up, even though he won his last fight by knockout. I just think Evloev's the better fighter all around, and I think this fight will be a little bit boring because of the fact that Grundy will be trying to take it to the ground as much as possible, and Evloev has a pretty good ground game, so I think there could be some neutralization there. But simply put, I think Evloev's the better fighter, and I'll take him at plus 137 to win by decision.
All right. Yeah, it does. It does look like a very, very good chance this one goes to decision. A lot of the same advice we gave before on the ladies. If you pick your fighter, pick it by decision, and I think you're going to get juiced enough there to make it profitable. Willie, you got a feel? Are you feeling the same way?
I'm leaving this one where it's at. I think this one's going to be a really good fight. I do believe that, like Scott said, I believe that Ivlov is the better fighter here, but at the same time, Grundy's not a terrible fighter in his own right.
Okay.
So I'm just going to leave this one alone and enjoy.
All right. This one looks like it'll all be about Evlov playing defense there as far as the takedown goes.
I just think he has a significant advantage in the stand-up. So I think if he can do enough to stop the takedowns and stop the advancing from Grundy, I think he should be able to pick apart Grundy in the stand-up.
Okay, fair enough. Next, we're moving on. Another heavyweight bout. This one between Tom Aspinall and Jake the Prototype Collier. Aspinall a little bigger at 253. And he looks like he's going to be making his debut. The odds certainly are reflective of that, as Aspinall is a minus 220, Jake Collier plus 185. So they like the new guy here. Scott, can you tell us about that?
So the main reason why I also like the new guy here is because of the fact that Collier usually fights at light heavyweight. Now he's fighting at heavyweight. So he's going to be fighting at a different weight class, which means he's either going to be A, uncomfortable with putting on the extra pounds because he might have more power, but he might have no stamina, or B, he might just not be accustomed to getting hit by bigger guys. And I think that Aspinall is a pretty underrated fighter. If you want to just look at his recent results and what he did at Cage Warriors, he's won each of his last 3 fights by first-round knockout within the first minute and 21 seconds. And Collier, a guy who wasn't always at light heavyweight. He moved up to light heavyweight, and now he's moving up again. I'm just concerned with him fighting at that weight with no experience. So for that reason, I actually think there's value on Aspinall by knockout, which is available at plus 162 on Fox Bet.
All right, and if you wanted to gamble even a little bit more, you could take Aspinall by first round knockout, or just take first round knockout.
I think that was mostly around plus 275 from what I saw.
Very nice.
So, you have any thoughts on that, Scott?
You know, that it doesn't seem like what did you say just Aspinall by knockout was?
Plus 162.
I don't know that there's enough value there to pick it in the first round. I think you got the right play there, just going with the knockout.
Yeah, that was my view. Are you also a little bit concerned with Collier moving up another weight class to fight a guy who has kind of just destroyed people at this weight in the past?
Oh, no question. And he's even a big heavyweight at checking in at 253. So it's not like, he's just tipping the scales at 225, 230, where they're going to be similar in weight. They've got Collier at 230, and that means he's moving up 25 pounds from light heavyweight to fight at this.
Well, he could potentially fight as a lower weighted heavyweight, so he could push it to maybe 240, 250. But then you're looking at a 10-pound disadvantage, which is absolutely brutal in the octagon. So it's just a really tough fight for Collier, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with the favorite by knockout. Yeah, and you're just not putting on 30 pounds of muscle. That's not happening. No, it's through Abu Dhabi cheeseburgers and some fries.
Yeah, I can tell you when you put on 30 pounds, it ain't muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like Aspinall, even though he is making his debut here against the veteran Collier. I think he's got too much power for a guy moving up in weight class like that. Willie, you on board with that as well?
I'm actually not. I'm actually I'm actually going to leave this one alone, but at the same time, I do like Collier here. I think his experience will play into that one a little bit, and I just think that he's a little bit more of a, what would you say, all-around fighter. I think he's pretty good at the ground too.
Yep.
So, but I could definitely see him winning that one also.
Well, if he can stay out of reach, if he
Right.
can stay out of the reach, I think that's going to be. And they do have, he actually does have the reach advantage. Believe it or not, Collier has a half-inch reach advantage. So we'll see. I think I think you might be onto something there, Willie. If he can stay out of, especially in that first round, if he can stay out of the reach of Aspinall, perhaps he can wear him out.
I think that's a live line move for me, where I'd look at Aspinall to win by knockout, but if you decide not to play and you have access to live lines, I do expect Aspinall to potentially fade after the first round.
Right. Yeah. If Aspinall, if you can get out of the first round with Aspinall, I think the tables probably turn. I think Collier becomes the favorite at that point, unless he gets damaged there in the first.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, very good. Couple of heavyweight. That's not a bad card. Couple of heavyweight bouts there on the undercard. And yeah, we're moving on. This is definitely not a heavyweight bout. This is a welterweight battle here between Nicholas Locomotivo Dalby from Denmark and Jesse the Body Snatcher Ronson from Canada. That's not bad there, buddy. I don't mind the Body Snatcher.
I kind of like Locomotivo.
Locomotivo, he's from Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, not this is a couple of good, solid nicknames right here. As far as the odds go, this is bet online is so annoying because they don't put them in order. So that's always why I'm, so Ronson is the underdog here at plus 205. Dalby checks in at minus 240. Locomotivo looks to take him down here, and he is two guys that are pretty good all-round fighters. Although Jesse Ronson does tend to end them early. Willie, any thoughts on this one?
Not really. I think this is going to be another one of these. It's going to be kind of an evenly matched fight. That both of them are pretty, like as you just mentioned, they're both pretty good, all well-rounded fighters. And I don't have a feel on this one.
Scott, any thoughts?
I'm passing, but I think Dalby's going to win because I just think he's the better fighter.
Okay, so no value there on the underdog, and not enough. Just paying way too high of a price at minus 240 for Dalby to get you interested in this one.
For me, no. Dalby's looked really solid lately, and Ronson, even though he is pretty decent as a fighter, he was a complete reject from the PFL, which as he went 0-2, and then he fought in something called BTC 9. Which apparently doesn't stand for Bitcoin, and apparently that's a fighting association. And he won that one before jumping to the UFC. So I just think he's in a completely different class here. So I think that Dalby is the better fighter. Not going to touch it, though.
Okay, very good. All right, and we are moving on to the last bout of the undercard before we start the main event, as Brazil's Francisco Massaranduba Trinaldo goes up against Jay Black Country Banger Herbert.
I thought that was going to be your leader in the clubhouse.
Black Country Banger?
Because that nickname just makes absolutely no sense, but he's just rolling with it. You know what I mean?
Maybe over there in England, maybe he comes from Black Country?
I guess. I don't know. I saw the nickname, and I thought, that's a guy I want to party with. That's the first thought that I had. Black Country Banger.
He is a banger, as he tends to be a knockout specialist. He's won 80% of his bouts by way of knockout. Of course, it looks like he is making his UFC debut, and the odds makers have this one pretty close, as Trinaldo's small favorite, minus 137. The Black Country Banger, plus 117. Scotty, what do you got?
I have no thoughts on this matchup, barely even a lean, but if I had to lean anywhere, I would lean to Herbert. Just because of the fact that even though Trinaldo's been a staple in the UFC for a long time, he is 41 years old. And you bring in a 32-year-old who has 10 wins and 1 loss, who has absolutely just destroyed through Cage Warriors. He was undefeated in that association. I don't want to say they're feeding the old guy to the young guy, but I have a hard time pulling the trigger on the 41-year-old against a hungry up-and-comer guy. So for that reason, I'll lean to Herbert, but I'm going to pass.
Do you hear the drums, Trinaldo? Willie, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm also on Herbert, but I'm much more confident. I think Herbert's gonna destroy him here. Like Scott mentioned, Trinaldo's 41 years old, and age is gonna catch up to you sooner rather than later in the cage.
Scott, give me a little Jay Herbert by knockout.
So let me pull that one up. In the meanwhile, you can move on to the next one. I'll get back to that.
Okay, very good. Well, we're going to take a look at moving on to the main card, everybody. All right. Oh, here we go. We're going to start off with a welterweight bout between Khamzat Chimaev, Boars is his nickname with a Z, against Reese McKee, making his debut. And Chimaev doesn't have a ton of experience either. So this should be perhaps an interesting fight here. I'm anxious to see what you guys think of it.
Well, for the record, Herbert by knockouts plus 400 on Fox Bet.
I like it. Now, this is the biggest mismatch of the evening, as Chimaev is minus 1,200, and you get yourself 8-1 if you wanted to back Reese McKee making his debut. They also have it. I think it's going to end quickly, as the over/under is just 1.5, although it is heavily juiced to the under. So yeah, they think this is going to be a fight one, a quick one. Willie, you agree?
Willie, you still there? All right, I guess I'll take that question in the meanwhile.
Yeah, Willie.
Yeah, Chimaev doesn't have much experience, but the fun fact, based on time of recording, he fought 8 days ago.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I do agree.
Oh, go ahead, Willie.
I think Willie's having some audio issues.
Okay.
But
So he fought just eight days ago, and he's still a prohibitive favorite here.
yes, because I believe he outstruck his opponent 147-2 in that one fight, which is one of the biggest destructions of all time. I actually had Chimaev by second round submission at plus 650 on that fight, so that worked out pretty well. I do have a play on this one. However, a lot of juice. I'm going to put this in a parlay. I like Chimaev inside the distance at minus 275, but I'm going to be parlaying that with something coming up, because at the same point, Chimaev is actually moving up in weight. He moved down in weight just to have his UFC debut, and now he's moving up in weight to fight at 2 different weight classes in the span of 10 days, which is kind of amazing, if I'm being completely honest there. Mm-hmm. But the person he's against is taking this fight on short notice in Reese McKee, as his nickname is Skeletor, which I do like as a nickname, but he was in Cage Warriors, pretty solid in Cage Warriors. But at the end of the day, he's taking the fight on short notice against a potential serious contender in this division. So I think Chimaev is just going to run through him. So I like Chimaev inside the distance, but I'll be parlaying that because minus 275 is a little bit too juicy for me.
All right. Willie, you back with us?
Yeah. Well, I answered your question. I just don't know if you guys heard me or not.
No, we didn't hear your audio cut out, so I kind of had to dive in.
Yeah, I switched. I had to switch internets right quick, like you did before show. But yeah, I'm also on the favorite here, but I just don't know that there's a way to play this one with value.
I saw round 1 at plus 120, and I was tempted by it, but at the end of the day, plus 120 is a little bit too low for me to take a first round guy.
Yeah, same here. It's definitely going to be a one-sided fight, but it's odds makers realize that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They have definitely handicapped that one accordingly. So no thought at all about taking a flyer on the dog here at 8-1.
Not even close.
Okay.
I think he's walking into a buzzsaw.
All right. Very good, gentlemen. All right. Taking a look at our welterweight fight here between Alex Cowboy Oliveira against Peter Sobota from Poland, and Just gotta give me the odds real quick because I can't find this one here.
Oh, so looking at the odds on this one, Oliveira is the favorite here at roughly minus 170.
Okay. Oh, now I have. Yeah, I got minus 175 plus 150. Is that about what you have
Yeah, that's what I have.
for Sabata?
Mhm.
All right. And it looks like guys with a little bit of guys that Oliveira's got a little bit of power as he has definitely knocked out. He likes to knock his opponents out. Sabata's more of a well-rounded guy, at least towards submissions. Scott, what do you think on this one?
For me, I'm going to link to Sabata for value. Oliveira was 0-3 in his last 3 before getting a very, very questionable split decision against Max Griffin. And the reason why I say that is because I had money on Max Griffin at the time, so I'm still a little bit biased on that one. But I watched the fight. Oliveira looked okay. I didn't think he looked great by any means. You could argue that he could potentially be 0-4 in his last 4 fights. So I don't think he's really worthy of being a minus 175 here. Meanwhile, if you look at Sabata, he was doing really well in the UFC, and then he got knocked out by Leon Edwards in his last fight. But Edwards is a serious contender in that division. So for that reason, I personally think that Sabata has some value there at plus 150.
Okay. Willie, on the dog here as well?
This is one that I don't intend to actually play, but I do like Oliveira here. I think he's got the better power, and as long as he can keep this one standing up, I think he's gonna dominate this one.
All right, and Scott, I'm kind of with you. I like to I like to get off the fighters that are on a cold streak.
He won his last fight, but it was very debatable. You can make the argument. Well, I'll just say hypothetically this fight was scheduled, but Oliveira had lost his last fight. He was 0-4 in his last 4. Would he still be a minus 175? Probably not.
I don't think there's any way. No, he might be a small favorite. Probably the 125, 130 range would be my guess.
The issue is that Sabata hasn't fought since 2018. So you have to wonder about the layoff there. But his last fight came up against a serious up-and-comer in Leon Edwards, who some people are arguing should be fighting for the title. I'm not one of those people, but he's one of the serious contenders. So I think plus 150 is mostly due to the layoff. But Oliveira...
Okay. Good.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no problem. And now we're moving on to a light heavyweight bout. This is the one I've been looking at just for the names. Out of the United Kingdom is Paul the Bear Jew Craig, rather. And he's going to be going up against Gazimurad and Tugalov.
Not bad.
From Russia. Yeah, I feel like that was not horrible. Paul Craig has a distinct advantage here as far as height and reach. He's 4 inches taller with a commanding 5.5-inch reach advantage. And he is a small favorite, minus 132. And Tugalov is plus 112. Willie, any thoughts on the Bear Jew versus the Russian here?
Yeah, I'm on the Bear Jew here. I don't know why he's not laying more. I mean, sure, both of these guys like the ground game a lot more, but when you have a size advantage like that, it's hard to picture a world where he doesn't at least fight him some standing up and use that to his advantage.
Yeah, these guys are both serious submission guys. In fact, they are such submission guys that the over/under is 1.5 rounds instead of the normal 2.5 on this one, and a little bit of juice to the under. So the odds makers think somebody's getting submitted here pretty damn fast. Scott, what do you say?
For me, this is the easiest pass on the board. Both fighters specialize in the same area. The issue you have with the Russian is that he has a little bit of a suspect chin, as he lost each of his last 2 fights by knockout. However, Craig has 1 win in his entire career by knockout, so he's not really a knockout threat at all. Right. I expect this to turn mostly into a wrestling bout where people are going to struggle trying to get advantages on the ground. So I'm going to pass. I have no interest in playing this fight.
Good time to make a sandwich right here, buddy. That's what I'm looking at.
I think the fight will be entertaining because I do like the Bear Jew as a fighter, but you have 2 guys who specialize in the same area, and the one weakness that the Russian has isn't exactly a strength for the Bear Jew. So for that reason, I don't see much value.
Any idea why he's named the Bear Jew?
He's a fan of the movie Inglourious Bastards, perhaps. I don't know. That's where I know the nickname of the Bear Jew from, and that's one of my favorite movies. So potentially he's a fan of that. I don't know.
I forgot about that. I've seen that one time, and I kind of forgot that. So, all right. So now we're going to move on to the second and final ladies' bout of the evening, as a couple of top 10 contenders here. Here we go. This would be my nickname, as Carla the Cookie Monster Esparza goes up against. She's the number 7 contender goes up against the number 9 contender in Marina Rodriguez. The Cookie Monster is from the United States, and Rodriguez is from Brasilia. So, Carla is as you might suspect, with somebody named the Cookie Monster. She's the underdog in this one, plus 151. Rodriguez checks in at minus 176 as far as being the favorite there. This is another one that looks like it certainly could go to a decision, as both these fighters fights in the decisions over half the time. Willie, what are you thinking?
Yeah, this is a pass for me. I think Esparza is a good fighter, but at the same time, she's probably not the best fighter in this fight. But either way, I just think this is going to be more competitive, and I just don't want anything to do with this one, honestly.
Oh, cool! So you'll have 2 fights there to make. You can make a big sandwich and maybe even cook a little, maybe put some fries in the oven or something. Perfect. Scotty, what do you got?
So this is going to be another parlay that I'm going to be making, and the first leg of that parlay is going to be the Esparza over 2.5, which is once again at minus 275. Too much juice. I think this pretty much has to go to a decision. Esparza has been known for an entire career to be a decision magnet, and Marina does have some knockout power, but if you've looked at her since making the transition to the UFC, every fight she's had has gone to decision. So I think this fight will go the distance. FoxBet has a pretty interesting thing going on. I think they mispriced one of the lines. They have the fight going distance at minus 275, but they have over 2.5 rounds at minus 275. So somebody should probably get fired for that. But they're giving me a free 2.5 minutes there at the same price. So I'm going to, first leg there on that parlay, I'm going to take the over 2.5 at minus 275.
Yeah, I can tell you that is a mistake because I've got it at minus 425.
Yeah.
So, I would jump on that early and repeatedly. I'd be surprised if they let that play. I think they.
FoxBet does. I've manipulated their lines a lot in my lifetime. They're my favorite book. Let's just put it that way.
Huh? That's a New Jersey place, right?
Yes, New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
Okay, very good. All right, guys, and moving on, taking a look at yet another heavyweight bout. There's a couple of top 20 contenders go against each other. As Fabricio Vai Cavallo Werdum goes up against Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson. This is Brazil going up against Sweden. Both of these fighters coming in off of losses. And Scott, how do you have this one?
So I actually have 2 plays on this fight. The first one's going to be closing out a parlay. I mentioned how I like Chimaev inside the distance. I'm going to parlay that with a custom bet on FoxBet, which is Gustafsson to win in round 1 or round 2. You parlay both those together, and you have a plus 224 payout on FoxBet. So that's my first play. So I like Gustafsson round 1 or round 2 if you were looking for a potential straight bet with that one. And I like Gustafsson fight to end in 60 seconds at plus 850 on FoxBet. That's clearly my long shot flyer of the evening, and I feel like you kind of need one of those. But I watched Werdum fight against Oleinik in his last fight. He looked out of shape, and he looked awful, and I had money on Oleinik, so I was happy about it. Gustafsson making his debut at heavyweight, tremendous fighter in the stand-up. And if Werdum got absolutely destroyed in the stand-up in the first round by a submission expert with no stand-up expertise whatsoever in Oleinik, I think Gustafsson's going to take his hat off. So for me, you look at Werdum, he used to be a champion. Then he took some time off with some steroid issues. He got suspended, came back. He's 42 years old, and he's against a hungry Gustafsson who has a little bit of beef towards Werdum after a sparring session went awry a couple of years ago. So for me, I think Gustafsson's going to take his head off. And for that reason, I like Gustafsson round 1, round 2. And I also like Gustafsson fight to end in 60 seconds. I think one uppercut, one something. I think Werdum hits the deck. So that's my thoughts on that fight.
Okay, yeah, and Gustafsson is the prohibitive favorite in this one, minus 355 versus plus 290 for Werdum rather. Willie, thoughts?
Yeah, I like the way that Scott has this one played. I couldn't find a line that I thought was worth playing because I definitely think Gustafson's going to win. I think Verdum can take some hits, but as Scott mentioned, he is 42 years old, and like I mentioned earlier, age is going to catch up to you.
Yeah, that's 42, man. That's getting a little long in the tooth. I know some of the fighters tend to be older, but yeah, once you get into the 40s, that's kind of a lot.
Well, just to be clear, my first play was the 2-pick parlay with Chimaev inside the distance and Gustafsson rounds 1 and 2. If you want to just do a straight bet on Gustafsson round 1 or 2, it's plus 137, which I think is an absolute steal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that one as well. Okay, so now we're moving in, coming down the home stretch, guys.
And speaking of old guys, that brings us into our next fight.
It's going to be a light heavyweight bout between Mauricio Shogun Rua and Antonio Minotauro Rogerio Nogueira.
Yep, both fighters combined have a nice ripe age of 82.
It's amazing they put it on this late. These guys probably should be in bed by then.
Well, they're veterans, but I can rant about this fight briefly. This fight belongs in Bellator. There's no way this should be the co-main event for a card. I think that's offensive. But anyway, I'm passing on this fight. I have no interest. Both fighters might need a hip replacement just getting up from their corners. So I'm going to pass.
Now, Rua is the knockout specialist. He's the favorite at minus 185. And Nogueira is plus 160. Willie, anything in this one get your interest going?
It does from a viewing standpoint. I feel like the only reason they're really this deep in the card is because of their names and their pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm leaning in this one, I'm taking Shogun. But yeah, I just want to watch this one. I think this one ought to be a fun one to watch at least.
The issue is with the age, but if I had to lean anywhere, I'd probably lean to Shogun by decision because they've already fought twice and Shogun won by decision both times. So I feel like if you want to go for the trifecta result of deja vu, you can need to go with Shogun by decision.
And I'd probably go the other way just for something different to happen because Shogun has won 81% of his bouts by way of knockout. Scott, give me a price on Shogun by knockout.
All right. I got to look that one up, so you can just get back to me in a sec.
All right. Well, let's talk about the main event then as the middleweight bout with the number one contender, Robert the Reaper Whitaker goes up against number 5 contender Darren the Gorilla Till. Couple of guys from the British the British Empire facing off as Whitaker hails from New Zealand against Darren Till from Great Britain. Not a lot of difference as far as the stats go here, as far as the reach advantage, size advantage, all that, and the odds makers do have this one fairly even as Whitaker is a small favorite, minus 129. Till is plus 109. Willie, I'll open it up to you for the main event here. What do you got?
I'm going Whitaker by knockout. I don't have a line right here in front of me. Bovada is slipping. They have exact results for most of the prelims, but not the main card for some reason. But yeah, I just think Whitaker's got the better stand-up game here. Till's his striking defense can tend to be a little shaky sometimes, and I like Whitaker to finish this one early.
Well, to answer that, Willie Whitaker by knockouts plus 250, and Scott Rua to win by knockouts plus 140.
Okay. Yeah, that's not enough for me. Sorry.
You don't have to apologize. You just want me to look it up.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, good enough. Scott, what do you got on this one?
So I'm closing out another parlay on this one. I like the over 2.5 here. It's at minus 188 on Fox Bet, but if you parlay the Till over 2.5 rounds and the Esparza over 2.5 rounds, turns into a 2-pick for minus 114 on FanDuel. And on Fox Bet. On Fox Bet. So for me, I like this fight to go the distance if I had to lean one way, but 2.5 is way too low for me. Whitaker tends to go to decisions. He got through 5 rounds with Romero twice. Until he does have some questionable striking defense, but if you did look at his last fight against Gastelum, he was very conservative and he played it very safe. and I think he'll do the same with Whitaker. So I think this fight will be longer. I think he'll probably go the distance, but over 2.5 at -188, parlayed with Esparza over 2.5 at -275 for a nice 2-pick at -114 is how I'm going to play this.
Yeah, I don't hate that because the official line on this is 4.5, and the over is plus 110 on over 4.5. So I think you're definitely catching some good value there as you pick up an extra 10 minutes of fight time. So, all right. And anybody got any final thoughts on any of these fights?
Hopefully some of the 15 fights will live up to the billing.
Yeah, well, it's that's the great thing about UFC, man. I like them so much better than boxing because boxing is so much time in between bouts. UFC, you get them in, get them down, get them off, then we bring up the next one. So I like that. They don't even clean up the blood. That's one of the weirdest things to me. If I seeing UFC is seeing the blood. This is all over the mats and everything.
It adds character.
The earlier bouts, but
it adds character to the.
Okay, real sport. That's just certainly adds something. So, Willie, you got any final thoughts on any of the bouts?
Just on the card as a whole, I think that I think I mentioned this off camera. I think it's going to be a pretty good card, which it should be when featuring as many fights as it has.
Right.
But as Scott said, hopefully it'll live up to its hype.
Well, this one is it's not quite free. It's on ESPN Plus is the main event.
It got moved to ESPN, I thought.
Now on last night when it said how to watch, it said ESPN Plus, but that certainly could have changed. They could have still been trying to get people to sign up for ESPN Plus.
I'm pretty sure it got moved to ESPN, but I can't guarantee that.
So we're going to be able to see all 15 fights absolutely free of charge. Is what you're saying?
We should be able to.
Okay, good enough. That sounds like a blast. All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back to recap all that on Monday and see how we did with all the plays. And yeah, it's one of those things where there's no reason to try to force plays. We talk about it a lot, but if you've got 15 fights, you're not going to like somebody in every one of them. It's just the way it goes. It's like looking at a full card of NFL games. You're not going to have 15 plays out of 15 fights. So that's we kind of do it realistically as you guys zero in on the fights that you really like. So anyway, had a blast. That was kind of ripped through that pretty well. Willie, thanks for joining us as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's my pleasure. It's been fun as always.
Yeah, it'll kind of be weird tomorrow not having you on the show, but we'll try to get past it because you'll be back on Saturday to do NASCAR. So, no, you won't either. No, there's no NASCAR. The NASCAR is tonight. So we won't see Willie till next week. Scott, you going to be okay with that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Getting a little break.
That's right. And Scott and I will be back tomorrow to talk about a little baseball, right?
A little bit of baseball, and I believe we got some solo shows also in the works. So you're going to be seeing two of us.
That's right. In case you said, man, I wish I could get some more of those guys. We will be back to our individual videos as well. Scott started today. I'll be breaking in mine, like I said, later tonight, early tomorrow morning for the Deep 3, starting off the baseball, the main bulk of the baseball season tomorrow. So that'll be fun. And then Saturday, we're going to be talking about a little bit of NBA stuff going forward and how all the teams matching up, some of our favorite prop plays on the NBA season coming. So we got that to look forward to. But until then, you guys, good luck on the MMA. Good luck on, of course, your NASCAR picks tonight. And we do thank you very much for joining us. I have been Scott Steen. He has been Scott Reichel. And as always, he has been Winning Willie Mormon. And we appreciate everyone stopping by. Don't forget to stop by and check out winnersandwhiners.com as we are cranking out the content, folks. It is the #1 predictive site for analysis in all of sports and sports betting. So make sure you stop by and check out winnersandwhiners.com as well as our sister site over there at snatsalt.com. Don't forget to check out me and the Deep 3. Don't forget to check out Scott and Scott's selections. And, you guys all have a great day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Good luck on all of your plays. It's about to get crazy, kids. We've about to go on from nothing to bet on to all you can eat. So I'm looking forward to it. Have a blast. Let's make some money, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow. All right? Take care.